Have you ever wondered why you feel so often like you're adrift, like a ship without a sail? Do you wrestle with the persistent feeling that something essential is missing, a void that no amount of external success or achievement can truly fill? Perhaps you've experienced moments of profound disorientation, a sense of being a stranger in your own life. I want to talk about a fundamental secret, one that's been deliberately obscured for centuries, a truth so potent it has the power to fundamentally reshape your reality. This isn't just an abstract philosophical concept, it's a key to unlocking your limitless potential. For over 1,400 years, this remarkable secret has been carefully guarded, concealed from the vast majority of humanity. Ancient knowledge, meticulously preserved, revealed the precise location where this transformative knowledge could be found. But this wasn't a treasure map leading to gold. It was a path to a deeper understanding of yourself, your consciousness, and the very fabric of existence. This isn't simply old history, it's a living truth that can empower you to take control of your life, starting now. I'm going to show you how your consciousness can quantum leap, how the things in your life that are making you feel lost, stuck, or hurt will naturally begin to get back in order. Do you understand why you feel so empty? That feeling in your chest, that sense of something missing. The entire 3D reality you perceive has been programmed to make you forget your true power. They wanted you to fit in, to conform, to be a small cog in a vast, impersonal machine. And as long as you accept this, you're unknowingly operating under a system that dictates your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Since birth, we've been conditioned to believe in limitations, to accept the status quo, and to define ourselves by external measures. We're told what to think about love, about success, about failure, and about ourselves. But these beliefs aren't necessarily our beliefs. They're inherited narratives, passed down through generations, often without conscious awareness. And this is where the problem begins. Because when we live our lives according to beliefs that aren't truly our own, we create a fundamental disconnect between our inner selves and the outer world. We become victims of a sophisticated illusion, trapped in a self-limiting pattern. But there's a way out. There's a way to reclaim your agency, to break free from this illusion, and to tap into the boundless potential that lies dormant within you. And the first step is to recognize the fundamental nature of reality, that it's far stranger and more interconnected than we've been led to believe. For centuries, wise individuals, Egyptians, Indians, and Greeks recognized a startling truth: your consciousness doesn't originate with your birth. Instead, it comes from a quantum field, a vast reservoir of infinite potential. Within this field, before you entered a physical body, there was no separation. Your core frequency, your true self, was alive and beating, resonating with the fundamental energy of the universe. But something happens when you enter a physical body. It's like someone put a veil over your attention, creating a fog that obscures what you once knew. Thoth, the ancient Egyptian deity, understood this intimately. He taught that the body itself isn't the problem is that we mistakenly believe we are only the body. In India, ancient sages called this forgetting Maya, which translates to illusion. They recognized that the Sula consciousness had fallen into a cycle of repetition, trapped in a world of perceived solidity and separation. Greek philosophers, too, acknowledged this fading of the soul's divine energetic origin, leading to a cycle of recurring patterns. Are you starting to see the connection? The truth is remarkably consistent across cultures and time periods. And this knowledge wasn't freely available. It was guarded by masters who transmitted this wisdom in secret, within temple rooms accessible only to a select few. Why? Because they knew that not everyone was ready. A normal person, lacking the necessary clarity and inner transformation, could misinterpret this information, using it to bolster their ego, to manipulate others, or to escape reality instead of changing it. These masters understood that true wisdom, and the ability to consciously create reality, could only be applied when the heart was clear. Simply wanting to know isn't enough. You need to be ready to live what you learn. That's why silence kept this secret safe within the temples, because those seeking quick answers were not satisfied. Still, those who didn't speak heard something that wasn't written down anywhere. But what actually happened in those temples? What extraordinary event could finally awaken a soul or consciousness to its true nature? That's what you're about to find out. The initiates, chosen for their receptivity, weren't greeted with a ceremony or a lecture. There were no people present, no sound, no light. They were taken to a place of utter stillness, dark, quiet, and devoid of any sensory input. They were put into a deep state of non-judgmental awareness. Over time, something began to shift within them. Not their physical bodies, but the ingrained image they had carried for years, the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, the stories they'd told themselves about who they were. I am weak, I am a failure, I am a victim, I am a professional, I am a parent. All these self-limiting narratives began to unravel. No longer did the name, the job, the status, or the opinions matter. The thought that this was the most important time, the moment the ego construct, the 3D identity, realized it was no longer in charge. To keep the initiate connected to the old self, it would give them fears, doubts, and false visions. But the ego, confronting its own dissolution, fights back. It tries to maintain control, to create a sense of stability, even if it's an illusion. It tries to scare you, to dissuade you, to make you think you're losing your mind. The initiate didn't learn anything new. No one talked about what life is all about. Because real quantum awareness and knowledge don't come from outside sources. It comes when you get rid of everything that isn't true. What's left is what was there all along. Imagine being in that complete void, the field with no points, no names, beliefs, or stories to hold on to while your own consciousness is still present. For many, this was simply too much to bear. Some gave up. But the few people who stayed went through a quantum leap. They remembered. It was a truth that was so deep it couldn't be expressed in words. For a split second, everything made sense. They understood that they were not the character in the story, but the consciousness that was watching it. Not everyone was ready, though. This is where the danger lies. It was risky to cross that portal without being ready. If you remember too soon, without clearing your energy field first, it could break your mind. Imagine someone who has unprocessed low-frequency imprints, another word for traumas, and all of a sudden they connect to the quantum field. It's too much. The risk was to get lost in the void, because you can't take back what you saw on the other side. What if, through your mind, you twist what your soul saw, making another illusion instead of freedom? To avoid this, the masters said, do not seek this out of curiosity. If you try to remember who you are before getting rid of the energetic clutter, you might make things even more confusing. This is The Lie of the Self by Thoth. This is where many people give up, because who has the guts to look themselves in the mirror and say they've been lying to themselves their whole lives? First, there's that wall. It's not outside, it's inside. It's everything you think you are, added up. You were conditioned from a very young age. A specific frequency was programmed into your body. Your boss told you what to think about love, about getting things done, about failing, and about yourself. You thought it was true. It wasn't because you were weak, but because no one taught you to question it. How many times have you stopped to think about your own thoughts today? How many times have you asked them where they're from? Because a lot of the things you think every day aren't your own ideas. They happen automatically over and over. They are silent frequency loops in your mind, like an app that drains all your energy that you don't even know is open. Now comes the first real practice. There's no magic. It is clear, simple, and hard. Pay attention to a bad thought. I'm not good enough, or it will never work are two that come up all the time. Now ask yourself what taught his followers. Is this frequency really mine, or did someone else give it to me? This question may seem easy, but it can help you release energy that you've been holding on to for years. Since a lot of your emotional pain wasn't coming from who you are, but from things you learned, like a show you just tuned into, something breaks. There is no destruction. That's freedom. Say, I am reclaiming my own frequency in the comments below. If this part speaks to you, this statement should be your first act of energetic sovereignty, that you are aware of it. Writing these words tells the quantum field that you are no longer a passive receiver of old programming, but rather that you are the creator of your own mind. A chain breaks with every thought you consciously observe. But now comes the tricky part. It is your 3D identity, the ego, that will fight. It will try to make you think that giving up these beliefs is bad for you. It'll say without these thoughts, you'll lose who you are. But the truth is that those thoughts were never you. They were just noise that got in the way of your real signal. Something starts to happen in the empty space between those thoughts. There is silence when the old stories end. It's scary at first to be so quiet. You quickly learn, though, that silence isn't empty. It's empty space. That's the quantum possibility space where something old could come back. Since you were born, something has been sleeping. When this first illusion falls, it starts to wake up. Something strange happens. When that memory starts to come back to you, you understand that there is a way to see that is not through your eyes for the first time. A quiet awareness that doesn't think about or judge anything. It just knows. It was known as the single eye bite. If you're in a state of quantum perception, you don't need to be told what's true because you feel it before you think it. You may have already been through this. It's like when you walk into a room. You just know something is wrong, or you meet someone and understand something is being kept from you even though they are polite. That's how your single eye works. Subscribe to this channel right away to make sure you stay in touch with this frequency. It's more than just getting a notification when you subscribe. It's a choice to align your energy field with these truths, which creates a stable quantum coherence that helps you remember. When those temple doors shut behind the chosen ones, there wasn't a ceremony going on inside. There were no people there. There was no sound and no light. Your consciousness had to forget who it thought it was before it could remember what it was. The initiates were taken to a place that was dark, quiet, and had no sound or light. They were put into a deep state of stillness there. Over time, something began to shift within them. Not their physical bodies, but the ingrained image they had carried for years, the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, the stories they'd told themselves about who they were. I made you one. It's like when you walk into a room, you just know something is wrong. Or you meet someone and understand something is being kept from you even though they are polite. That's how your single eye works. Subscribe to this channel right away to make sure you stay in touch with this frequency. It's more than just getting a notification when you subscribe. It's a choice to align your energy field with these truths, which creates a stable quantum coherence that helps you remember. When those temple doors shut behind the chosen ones, there wasn't a ceremony going on inside. There were no people there. There was no sound and no light. Your consciousness had to forget who it thought it was before it could remember what it was. The initiates were taken to a place that was dark, quiet, and had no sound or light. They were put into a deep state of stillness there. Over time, something began to shift within them. Not their physical bodies, but the ingrained image they had carried for years, the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, the stories they'd told themselves about who they were. Now comes the first real practice. There's no magic. It is clear, simple, and hard. Pay attention to a bad thought. "I'm not good enough," or "it will never work" are two that come up all the time. Now ask yourself what taught his followers. Is this frequency really mine, or did someone else give it to me? This question may seem easy, but it can help you release energy that you've been holding on to for years. Since a lot of your emotional pain wasn't coming from who you are, but from things you learned, like a show you just tuned into, something breaks. There is no destruction. That's freedom. Say, "I am reclaiming my own frequency" in the comments below. If this part speaks to you, this statement should be your first act of energetic sovereignty that you are aware of. Writing these words tells the quantum field that you are no longer a passive receiver of old programming, but rather that you are the creator of your own mind and are aware of it. Click like if you felt that shift. This action can be seen as a powerful yes to the universe. You send a pulse of coherence into your own quantum field by physically anchoring your desire to break free. A chain breaks with every thought you consciously observe, but now comes the tricky part. It is your 3D identity, the ego, that will fight. It will try to make you think that giving up these beliefs is bad for you. It'll say without these thoughts, you'll lose who you are. But the truth is that those thoughts were never you. They were just noise that got in the way of your real signal. something starts to happen in the empty space between those thoughts. There is silence when the old stories end. It's scary at first to be so quiet. You quickly learn, though, that silence isn't empty. It's empty space. That's the quantum possibility space where something old could come back. Since you were born, something has been sleeping. When this first illusion falls, it starts to wake up. Something strange happens. When that memory starts to come back to you, you understand that there is a way to see that is not through your eyes for the first time, a quiet awareness that doesn't think about or judge anything. It just knows. It was known as the single eye bias. If you're in a state of quantum perception, you don't need to be told what's true, because you feel it before you think it. You may have already been through this. It's like when you walk into a room, you just know something is wrong. Or you meet someone and understand something is being kept from you even though they are polite. That's how your single eye works. It's your consciousness picking up on the waveform, which is the energetic signature of reality before it falls apart into a 3D fact. But why does this sense not work well for most people? Because you learn to believe what you think more than what you feel. People praised data and forgot about the quiet quantum intuition that has always been there. The trouble is that you can only see the surface. The single eye can feel what's really going on. For the first easy exercise, here it is. Take a moment to close your eyes. Don't keep looking for answers. Stop making noise. To begin, just be quiet for 10 seconds. Do not expect anything. Feel something comes out of that tiny bit of silence. It might feel like nothing at first. That nothing is everything, though. It is the field with no points. In that stillness, the single eye comes to life. Why is this so important? Because as long as you think about answers, all you'll find are old ideas that have been used before. Things don't come to you as thoughts, though. When you start to feel with this direct quantum perception, they show up as clear, something that is so clear that it doesn't need words to explain it. If this inner knowing has happened to you, say in the comments, "I trust my silent clarity." Let this act hold your soul's vibration in place. The universe hears that you are shifting your attention from the 3D world of logic outside of you to the quantum perception of yourself. You remember how to feel the truth in this moment. As you connect with this inner vision, click like to make it even clearer. When you do this, a quantum resonance signal is sent through your nervous system. This signal strengthens the neural pathways that support this higher perception. However, this view is just the start. It's like letting air into a door. It lets light in, but there's something more hidden on the other side. Because the first step is to understand the truth. It's a whole different thing to live from it. You are the only one who can feel that next step. It's the unique sound your soul makes. Something inside you has been vibrating since the beginning. It's not a voice that talks. It is a frequency of silence, a vibration that is so close to people that they don't even notice it their whole lives. They called it the name that cannot be seen. This isn't a name like John or Mary. The electromagnetic signature of your soul is what makes you unique. It's the sound that without a single letter says everything about who you are. You may have felt it already, that split second when even though nothing has changed outside, everything feels right. When your mind is foggy but something inside you knows what to do. That strong intuition can come from nowhere. These little gaps of silence are where this vibration can be heard. Not as an idea, but as a sure thing that you can't deny. This name doesn't limit you like the labels they gave you. So we call it the invisible name. Your job or past don't make you who you are. It's the pure vibration of who you are in the quantum field. It's your soul's mark. It can't be copied by anyone else. It's very much yours. The most crazy thing is that you've heard this sound before. Not with your ears, but with your heart. It has been calling to you ever since you were born. There was 3D static and worries in the world, though which drowned it out. But it didn't go away. It just went to sleep and waited for you to make enough noise to hear it again. And your radio dial changes when you hear that sound inside. You understand that the answers you were looking for outside were all along there. That empty feeling wasn't from not having something. It was from not having this inner connection. But pay attention, it does more than just bring peace. When that core frequency wakes up, everything that has been hidden starts to come to light. even the parts you tried to forget, traumas, fears, and memories that hurt. It all starts to go up. The frequency of your soul does more than just remind you of who you are. It also brings up the things you tried to delete. That's the door you need to go through next. When the quiet sound of your soul starts to get stronger, something has to happen. You remember your true limitless self, but you also remember the things that hurt you, because there is no real light that doesn't shine on the dark things too. This is where a lot of people give up. Peace is easy to want, but not everyone is ready to face their pain. That's what's called this process of cleaning the soul. I want you to think of it as energetic clearing, though. In no way is it a punishment. It cleans you naturally. Think of your consciousness as a river that has become full of rocks and other things that don't belong, like the dense, low-frequency imprints of trauma and fear. It's still there, but the water, your life force, is blocked. This process of clearing is just letting the water flow freely again. But you have to be brave to see what's been crammed in there. What are these hurts? These are the hurts you tried to forget. The words that make you hurt. When things happened that made you feel like you weren't good enough or worthy of love, that stuff was saved and hidden because it hurt too much to remember. But here's the most important thing I learned. You are only in pain because you are resisting it. The pain gets worse every time you run away from it. When you hide how you feel, it builds up in your energy field and makes it heavy. But something different happens when you choose to look at it, to watch it without judging it. The pain starts to go away. Not because you fight it, but because you accept it. You finally let that energy move. This is like telling yourself, yes, that did happen. Yes, I did feel that. But that energetic mark doesn't make me who I am now. That's when the pain loses its power. It stops being a prison and turns into a memory. This is a strong and deep truth. Post this affirmation in the comments if you're ready to heal and move on. My observation is my liberation. By typing this, you are making the choice to stop fighting your past. By being brave enough to see what hurts, you tell your own energy field that you are ready for that energy to dissolve. Click like right now if you want to let go of this old energy. You can align your electromagnetic signature with the frequency of healing. With this simple click, you are telling your body that it is okay to start this quantum reset. Do you know what happens when the cleaning begins? Your soul or quantum self starts to run your life. Your mind stops being in charge for the first time and just acts as a tool. There is a silence inside you that is unlike anything you've ever felt before. It's not nothing. It's being full. It's the freedom from having your thoughts control you. What about the mind that was in charge all this time? Will it just go away, or will it try to get back in charge? You've been taking away the veils up until now. But once those veils fall away and your true consciousness comes to light, there is no going back. Things in your mind are no longer controlling your life. You start to live a life that is guided by consciousness instead of fear, which is a rare thing. It was known as the waking trance by Thoth. I call it the observer state, though you are more aware than ever here. There are no longer any emotional waves or anxious thoughts pulling your soul, your quantum self around. It sees and feels everything. Nothing can get you out of the deep silence inside. It's like you're in a loud crowd. It's not a way to get away from life. It's living life to the fullest. Even though you're no longer a character stuck in a story, you are still facing problems. But now you are an outsider watching the scene play out. You don't believe everything your mind tells you anymore, but it still thinks. You still feel things, but you don't automatically react to them. You feel things, but they don't swallow you up. And then something strange happens. Time slows down. That feeling of always having to rush, being late, and not having enough time goes away. I'm a G1, the air shifts, descent it. Not in a way you can easily describe, but a subtle alteration in the feeling of being present. It's like a loosening, a gentle release of tension held within. This is a crucial step, a shift that comes after recognizing that consciousness isn't a control panel you manipulate, but a deep, abiding awareness that flows through you, regardless of your thoughts or emotions. It's a recognition that you're not the architect of your experience, but a witness to it. And this witness, this observer state, is profoundly liberating. That's what Thoth called it, the waking trance. And it's a state that feels, unbelievably, both utterly silent and intensely alive. It's not an escape from the world, it's an immersion into it, a seeing of the world with unburdened eyes. The initial recognition, the understanding that your mind isn't the driver of your life, is a profound one. It's a dismantling of a fundamental assumption that your thoughts, your anxieties, your desires, are the defining forces in your existence. It's a slow peeling back of layers, like an onion, revealing a core of stillness beneath the swirling chaos of everyday experience. It's understanding that much of what you perceive as reality is constructed by your mind, a story you've been telling yourself for as long as you can remember. And the beauty of this realization is that you now have the power to question that story, to step back and see it for what it is, a skillful construction, not necessarily a truth. This isn't about denying your feelings, it's about recognizing that feelings too are simply data points, fleeting impressions that arise and fade. You can feel sadness, you can feel fear, you can feel joy, but you don't have to be defined by them. You can observe the feeling, acknowledge its presence, and then gently let it pass, returning to that quiet center of awareness. It's like watching a cloud drift across the sky. You can appreciate its beauty, its shape, but you don't try to hold on to it, to make it permanent. The pain starts to shift in this state, not because you're fighting it, but because you're accepting it, allowing it to simply be. It's a shift in perspective, a letting go of the resistance that perpetuates the suffering. You're finally telling yourself, yes, this happened. Yes, I felt this. But the energetic mark of the experience, the lingering intensity, the emotional charge doesn't become a permanent fixture in your being. It dissolves, fades, and transforms into a memory, a lesson, a piece of your evolving story. This is a cornerstone truth that you aren't defined by your wounds, but by your capacity to heal and grow from them. It's a recognition that suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience, but that it doesn't have to own you. This isn't a simple, immediate fix. It's a gradual process of recalibration, of aligning your internal landscape with a deeper sense of peace and acceptance. The initial shift can feel almost unsettling, like a profound disorientation. It's as if a familiar map has been torn up and replaced with a blank sheet of paper. You're invited to draw your own map, guided by your intuition and your willingness to embrace the unknown. Time itself begins to bend in this state. The relentless ticking of the clock, the urgency to get things done, the feeling of always being late, it all begins to lose its grip. It's as if the universe has slowed down, allowing you to perceive the flow of moments with a newfound spaciousness. This phenomenon, known in quantum physics as temporal flexibility, arises from the understanding that time, as we typically experience it, is a construct of our linear minds. When fully present, you're operating within the quantum field, a realm where all moments past, present, and future exist simultaneously. The feelings that once controlled you, the anxieties, the fears, the regrets no longer hold the same power because you see them as transient events, simply passing through the landscape of your awareness. You recognize that anger, for instance, is just a thought, a reaction, a fleeting interpretation of an event. Fear isn't a threat, but a signal, a data point, that can be observed and acknowledged without being swallowed by it. This shift isn't about detachment, it's about engagement. It's about living life to the fullest, not in spite of your challenges, but because of them. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're consciously choosing how to respond. This is the power that your ego can never give you, the ability to step outside the confines of your conditioned patterns and create your own reality. It's recognizing that you are not a character in a pre-written story, but the author of your own narrative. The mind, once a dominant force in your life, now serves as a tool, a means of accessing information and navigating your environment. It's like having a powerful computer capable of incredible feats of calculation and analysis, but understanding that the computer itself is not the source of wisdom. The silence inside, that profound sense of spaciousness, is not an absence of anything, it's fullness, an awareness of your own being, unburdened by the demands of the external world. But what happens to the mind that was in charge all this time? Does it simply vanish? Not entirely. It still thinks, it still feels, but it no longer controls. It's like a stream flowing through a landscape. The stream still flows, but it doesn't dictate the shape of the land. The key is to recognize this dynamic, to understand that the mind is simply one part of your being, and that you have the power to choose how you relate to it. The journey begins with awareness, a simple yet profound recognition of your own presence. It's about being where your body is, noticing the sensations of your physical form. It's about noticing the subtle shifts in your breath, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the feeling of your feet on the ground. This practice, often described as being here, is surprisingly challenging in our increasingly distracted world. It requires a conscious effort to quiet the internal chatter, to detach from the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. It's not about emptying your mind, but about observing your thoughts without judgment. Following this awareness comes the practice of conscious quiet, a deliberate cultivation of a space of silence within. Even amidst the noise of everyday life, you can create a sanctuary of stillness within yourself. It's about taking a few moments to simply be, without trying to do anything, without trying to solve any problems, without trying to control anything. It's about allowing the mind to settle, to quiet down, to return to its natural state of spaciousness. This isn't about suppressing thoughts, it's about observing them with detachment. The space between stimulus, what happens, and your response, that's where you exert your influence. You create your reality there, not by reacting, but by consciously choosing how to respond. The third element is the practice of energy, raising your vibration through conscious engagement with the world. What you see, hear, and say, they all contribute to your energy field. Negativity, fear, and criticism drain your energy, while positivity, gratitude, and connection revitalize it. This isn't about superficial optimism, it's about aligning yourself with the highest good, with love, compassion, and truth. This shift isn't instant. It's a process of recalibration, a gradual alignment with a deeper sense of peace and acceptance. It requires a consistent effort to quiet the mind, to cultivate awareness, and to raise your vibration. It's like learning a new skill. It takes practice, patience, and persistence. The mind, once a dominant force in your life, now serves as a tool, a means of accessing information and navigating your environment. It's like having a powerful computer, capable of incredible feats of calculation and analysis, but understanding that the computer itself is not the source of wisdom. In the pursuit of this shift, it's crucial to understand that the mind isn't simply going away. It's more like a dimmer switch capable of being turned up or down, but never entirely extinguished. The key is to learn how to manage your mind, to use it consciously, rather than being controlled by it. This is a fundamental shift in your relationship with yourself, and it's here that the most dangerous trap lies: the ego, not as a simple personality trait, but as a deeply ingrained pattern of separation and judgment. This isn't the ego that simply wants what it wants. This is the ego that wears a spiritual mask, a mask of righteousness, of enlightenment, of superiority. It's the ego that whispers, "You're different now. You know more now. You are now higher than them." And if you fall into this trap, you'll find yourself judging others, criticizing their beliefs, and seeking to prove your own spiritual advancement. This is where the real battle takes place, not in the external world, but within your own mind. The ego doesn't disappear entirely, it simply changes its appearance. It wears a different mask, perhaps one of victimhood, of innocence, or of compassion. But underneath it all, the underlying pattern of separation remains. To break free from this trap, you must recognize it for what it is: a self-limiting construct, a barrier to your full potential. Ultimately, this journey is about letting go of the need to control, to fix, to prove. It's about accepting yourself and others for who you are, without judgment. It's about recognizing that you are part of something larger than yourself, that you are connected to all beings, that you are part of the infinite, ever-expanding universe. The practice isn't about finding the answers, it's about asking the right questions. It's about shifting your perspective, about changing your relationship with reality. It's about learning to trust your intuition, to listen to your inner voice, to follow your heart. I'm edgy too. The quiet hum of recognition settles within, a gentle unfolding rather than a sudden burst. It's a truth that had been veiled, obscured by the insistent chatter of the mind, And now, with a profound stillness, it reveals itself. I am remembering who I truly am. This isn't a statement of intellectual understanding, but a visceral knowing, a homecoming to a core of being that had never truly left. It's a realization that transcends the limitations of language, a direct connection to the infinite potential that resides within each of us. The journey to this point has been a delicate dance, a stripping away of layers of belief, of conditioning, of the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and who we should be. It's been a confrontation with the ego, not as a monstrous entity to be vanquished, but as a familiar companion, a persistent voice that, while often misguided, is nonetheless rooted in a deep-seated need for safety, for connection, for meaning. The key isn't to silence this voice, but to understand its origins and to gently guide it towards a more authentic expression of our being. The echoes of the words "am remembering" resonate with a power far exceeding their simple construction. They are the key that unlocks a dormant capacity within, a capacity for profound awareness, for effortless flow, for unwavering peace. It's a recognition that the seeking, the relentless pursuit of answers, of fulfillment, of happiness was, in essence, a misdirection. The answers weren't out there to be discovered, they were always within, waiting to be accessed through the quietest, most attentive part of ourselves. The ego, that insistent architect of separation, attempts to intervene, whispering doubts and anxieties, urging us to strive, to achieve, to prove our worth. It presents itself as a protector, warning of danger and loss, but it's also a masterful illusionist, convincing us that our unhappiness stems from a lack of something, a job, a relationship, possessions, when the true source of our suffering lies in the stories we tell ourselves about what we need to be happy. The final, and perhaps most critical, step is to recognize this pattern, to see the ego for what it is, a construct, a temporary framework built to navigate the complexities of the world, but not a reflection of our ultimate, boundless nature. The realization isn't a static event, it's a continuous unfolding, a deepening of awareness that shifts the very way we experience reality. It's a letting go of the need to control, to fix, to manipulate, a surrender to the flow of life, recognizing that the universe is inherently creative and that our role is not to dictate its course, but to co-create with it. It's a moving beyond the dualities of good and bad, right and wrong, success and failure, seeing that everything is interconnected, that every experience, no matter how painful, contributes to the grand tapestry of existence. The shift in perspective isn't about adopting a passive attitude, it's about accessing a deeper level of agency. When we are not bound by the limitations of the ego, we are free to act with intention and compassion, guided by a wisdom that transcends logic and reason. We become instruments of love and service, radiating a light that illuminates the darkness and inspires others to awaken. This isn't a heroic act, but a simple act of being, of recognizing our inherent connection to all that is. Consider the water. It flows around obstacles, adapting to its environment, never resisting the current. Yet, it remains water, maintaining its essence despite the variations in its surroundings. Similarly, we, too, can navigate the complexities of life with grace and resilience, while remaining anchored to our core identity or boundless potential, our inherent connection to the source. The journey to this state of profound awareness isn't a linear one, it's filled with twists and turns, with moments of clarity and moments of confusion. There will be times when the ego reasserts itself, when doubt and fear creep in. But the key is to remember that these are simply temporary setbacks, opportunities for deeper self-reflection. Each challenge, each difficulty, is an invitation to grow, to evolve, to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. It's crucial to understand that the pursuit of happiness is fundamentally flawed. Happiness is a byproduct of living in alignment with our true selves, not a goal to be achieved through external means. The more we chase after external validation, the more elusive happiness becomes. True fulfillment arises when we accept ourselves unconditionally, when we embrace our imperfections, and when we live each moment with gratitude and joy. The ego thrives on comparison, on measuring ourselves against others. We're bombarded with images of idealized lives, of seemingly perfect bodies, flawless relationships, and extraordinary achievements. This constant exposure to external standards fuels feelings of inadequacy and discontent. The antidote is to shift our focus inward, to celebrate our own unique journey, and to recognize that everyone is on a different path. Letting go of the need to be special is a profound act of liberation. It's a recognition that we don't need to stand out from the crowd, that our value isn't determined by our accomplishments or our possessions. True magnificence lies in our authenticity, in our willingness to embrace our vulnerability, and in our capacity for love and compassion. The practice of living naturally, of surrendering to the flow of life, is the highest form of knowledge. It's not about apathy or indifference, it's about recognizing the inherent wisdom of the universe and trusting in its guidance. It's about releasing the need to control and allowing life to unfold organically. The final, and perhaps most surprising, revelation is that the answers we've been seeking were always within us. The knowledge, the wisdom, the connection to the source, they've been with us since the beginning of time. The forgetting wasn't a loss of information, it was a dimming of awareness, a temporary obscuring of our innate knowing. It's like waking up from a long dream, only to realize that the dream was already within you. This isn't a mental process, it's a quantum recognition, a direct knowing that bypasses the limitations of the intellect. It's like putting on a light in a dark room. The light doesn't create illumination, it simply reveals what was already there. The profound impact of this realization is not simply an intellectual understanding, it's a fundamental shift in our relationship to reality. It's a recognition that we are not separate from the universe, we are the universe experiencing itself. The question of whether we need to change someone to love them is a critical test of our capacity for unconditional love. True love isn't about trying to mold another person into our ideal image, it's about accepting them for who they are, flaws and all. It's about offering support and guidance, but ultimately respecting their autonomy and their right to choose their own path. This final obstacle, the need to be special, represents the ultimate illusion. It's the insistence that we must be unique, that we must stand apart from the rest of humanity. But the truth is that we are all connected, that we are all part of a vast, interconnected web of life. As you move through your days, you'll notice that things don't seem quite as chaotic as they once did. You're not as easily swept up in the drama of the world. You observe, you participate, but you don't get caught up in the story. The ancient wisdom reveals itself not through grand pronouncements, but through simple, everyday moments. Drinking water, walking, breathing, these ordinary acts become sacred, imbued with a profound sense of wonder and gratitude. The key is not to leave the world to go back to the source. The source flows through you, transforming your experience of the world. Living naturally is not an escape from the world, it's an integration into it. The final, and perhaps most profound, revelation is that the ego doesn't need to be fought, it simply needs to be acknowledged and released. When we recognize that the ego is a temporary construct, a helpful tool that has served us well in the past, we can let it go with grace and compassion. As you surrender to the flow of life, you'll realize that fear has no power over you. There's nothing left to guard, nothing to protect. And in this state of liberation, you'll find a profound sense of peace and joy. This isn't a state of being, it's a recognition of your inherent nature, your boundless potential, your connection to the source. And as you embrace this truth, you'll realize that you are already complete, that you already have everything you need. The journey has been transformative, a profound awakening that has shifted your relationship to reality. And as you step forward into the world, you'll carry this wisdom with you, radiating a light that illuminates the darkness and inspires others to awaken. In the comments below, please affirm this final strong truth. I am remembering who I truly am. Be aware that this is your quantum leap. By bringing this awareness from the quantum field into your physical world, you are telling everything that the great forgetting is over. You're awake. And finally, please share this message. You send a coherent wave of light through the collective consciousness every time you share. When you send a video, you also turn on the quantum grid, which makes this leap easier for everyone. Your part is very important.